Excel accounting practice problem. Add new accounts and opening balances. Get ready, because we're about to excel. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. In prior presentations, we set up this worksheet from a blank sheet and are now entering transactions into it. If you have access to this worksheet, there's two tabs down below, Example and Practice. The Example tab, in essence, being an answer key. Let's take a look at it now. In prior presentations, we've been putting in place these beginning balances that have the subledgers, making them a bit more complex, like inventory, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. Now we're going to be entering transactions that should be easier to enter given the fact that we don't need as much in terms of subledgers for them: the checking account, the furniture and equipment, the accumulated depreciation, Visa account, and loan payable. So we're going to go back to the practice tab and add these items in. If this is going to be our example that we have been following of the beginning balances that we've been trying to populate into our system, imagining these beginning balances from the prior accounting system that we started, or possibly just some beginning balances that we had set up before we started putting them into our accounting system, or putting them into our accounting system as it's the first period of the year, because we'd like to have a full years of transactions into the system typically. So these are as of then 12/31 of the prior year we are imagining, and we're putting them in our system, and we'll be going forward starting January 1st, 2022 is our practice problem. So now we're going to be doing the checking account. So let's add the checking account balance, which should be fairly straightforward. Note that the checking account does have an issue with it. That would be that if you're doing bank reconciliations in the prior system, we might have some difference between the bank statement and what's on our books due to the fact that there's reconciliation items, outstanding checks, and deposits. We'll talk more about that later, possibly, in our practice problem. But for now, we're going to put on the balance that was on our prior bookkeeping system. And so we're going to say, let's do this as of 1/1. Putting our cursor in B11 equals, we'll pick up that checking account, picking up the good old checking account. And then the other side, like we have been doing before, everything else is going to be going to the equity account, and it will all wash out in equity as we enter one account at a time. So then we had in the checking account the 25,000. Note, however, that because we're in this part of the practice problem, we could make the rest of these with one large journal entry, possibly, because we don't have that same problem with the subledgers, but we're kind of mirroring the data input process that you would see possibly in an accounting system, which might allow you to enter these transactions using kind of a beginning balance type of system. And this is basically what they would do, so that people can enter the beginning balances even if they don't fully know, like, the debits and credits, the system forcing out the debits and credits to work out, washing out in the equity side of things. So that's going to be the concept we want to keep in our mind and visualize as you transfer from here to possibly a database program, something like a QuickBooks or other kind of accounting software. So I'm going to say negative of this number. There's our debit and credit. Let's do an indentation here, indentation. And that's in the Home tab, Alignment Indenting. We're going to record this out. So let's record it first to our trial balance so we can see what is happening in H4. Within H4, this is going to be equal to the 25,000. And then I'm in the equity down here. I'm going to start to use the keyboard. There's something in it. So I'm going to say F2, which allows us to kind of drill into what's in there so far. Of course, these items are all in there thus far. I'm going to say plus, and then F2 again, allowing me then to maneuver outside of that cell and picking up the 25,000. So we did that in a very geeky type of way without even using the mouse, that's what we're aiming for. That's what we're going for here. So we got the checking account. Let's post it to the general ledger then, in the GL in cell K5. Within K5, this is on 1/1 tab. This is going to be equal to, in L5, the 25,000. The 25,000. That puts us out of balance up top until we record the other side, which is in equity. That's the last account we have thus far because we don't have any income statement accounts. It's in order: assets, liabilities, and then the equity. So that's going to be down here in AA20, 1/1. And then in AB20, we're going to do this by saying equals. I'm going to hold down the left arrow till we hit the wall. Boom. And then scroll up top and pick up that equity of the 25,000. 25,000, there we have it. So now we're at the 33,398 in 96 in the equity, which should tie out and match what is on the trial balance. We're back in balance given the green items up top, so it looks good on the GL as well. So now we need some more blue. I need some more blue lines down below, so I can do this by basically selecting this column up top, going up to our home tab, clipboard with the little paintbrush. I want to put some blue paint on my paintbrush, and then I think we're gonna go down to like, let's go down to like 27 and see if that'll work for us painting that just like I'd paint a fence, just like the Karate Kid did with the, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Here we go, back to it. So now we're gonna say with the 1-1, then we've got, what's the next one? The next one, we did accounts receivable, we did inventory because they had those subledgers, and then accumulated depreciation. I'm going to do the furniture and equipment first because it just makes more sense in my mind to do that one first, because these are out of order due to the fact that they're the same account type, but in the accounting software we use, which was QuickBooks, it put it in alphabetical order there, so I won't get into that now, but I'm going to do the furniture and equipment first. So let's do that. Go back on over furniture and equipment right there. So that's going to be going up. We've got furniture and equipment that we're putting in play as we start our business here. And then the other side's going to, once again, equity. The equity's never seen so much action to it at one point in time. So now we're going to say this is going to be the 75,000 in the equity. There's our debit. There's our credit. Let's put an indentation in there. So we're going to alignment and indentation. And then we got the furniture and equipment. Let's post it out to the trusty TB. Trial balance first. Furniture and equipment will be equal to, picking up that 75,000. So now we got that beginning balance. And then in the equity, recording out the equity, doing it the geeky way by selecting F4 on the keyboard and then plus and then F4 so I can maneuver outside. And that will impress all of your friends. And so now we're going to say this is in the furniture and equipment. So that's like the fourth asset account on the GL. Let's post it. This is called posting to the general ledger. Furniture and equipment. We're in S111. And now I'm in T5. That's the cell reference equals. And then left to the wall. Boom. I'm going to destroy that wall one of these times. Going to get ahead of steam. That's going to be the 75,000, bringing it up to the 75,000. And then we've got the 75,000 here, and we're out of balance up top. So the other side going then, of course, to equity, the last account that we have thus far, because we don't have any income statement. So it's the same on the GL, general ledger, posting it over here to the GL, general ledger. There's our blue equity account with all the action in it. That's so weird for equity because that doesn't normally happen. Look at all this action in equity. So then we're in cell AB21. We're going to say equals, holding down that left arrow. This is the time. I know there's a weak spot in that wall somewhere. There's a weak spot. I'm going to go right through it one of these days. 75,000, enter. There we have it. This cell's a little too small. I should widen all of these cells so that because they should be able to accommodate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to format as we go here. I'm going to select these two cells, and then I'm going to hold down Control, and then these two cells, let go of Control, hold down Control, these two cells, let go of Control, hold down Control, these two cells, let go of Control, and then I think that's it. And then I want to make it wide enough to accommodate that large of a number. All of these cells, in case I have over 100,000. There we go. So you can widen those cells as you go if you so choose, but that's how you could do it at one time, highlighting non-adjacent cells, those that are not next to each other. Let's do another one. This is going to be, now we're on the accumulated depreciation, 7,500, this being a credit balance. It's because it's a contra asset account. So I'm going to say, all right, that's not a problem. There's accumulated depreciation. 1-1. This time I'll put the equity on top because I'm going to credit the accumulated depreciation, it being a contra asset. So equity, and then the ACC depre, as I call it a lot of times because it sounds cooler and it doesn't take as long to say. So we got 7.5 and then negative of the 7.5. There it is. Let's post it out. So we then have equity up top first this time. Equity, we're right here. F2 plus F2. Scrolling down, we're picking up that 7,005 out of balance now by the 7,005 till we post the ACC D-Pre. So we're going to then go up top to where that account is here on, it's in H8. H8 equals, scrolling back on down to that 7.5 back in balance. Looking good. We're looking real good. Now let's post it to the equity section, 7,005. On the general ledger, the good old GL, that blue account, the only blue account we have thus far. We'll make more later with all the action. That's where all the action is. That's where all the action is. AB22 equals left to the wall. I've hit that point right there, 22 in the wall so many times. Actually, no, I've gone, if I just hit that same spot, I feel like I can go through it one of these days. But in any case, there's the 108,396 plus the 7,005 brings us to the 108.96. So obviously it's a decrease because it's a debit to a credit account, and it decreases because we're doing the opposite thing to it. And that amount is also going to be here on the trusty TB, and we're out of balance by then the 7,500. So we will record the other side, which is to accumulated depreciation, which is the last green account on the trusty TB, which will be the same in the general ledger, the GL, as it's otherwise known. So we got the accumulated depreciation, 1,1, and then in T17 equals left to the wall, and the 7,005 in D18, was it? Something like that. You could copy, you could just memorize D18 if you don't like doing that left to the wall thing, but I would recommend putting those cell references in there, because then again you can use these little functions up top to see where it's coming from. If there's a problem, much easier to solve the problem. Much easier to solve the problem. Those, by the way, are located in this area in the formulas tab in the formula auditing there. Useful tool, useful tool. I don't need to use them that much anymore because I don't make any mistakes. Just kidding, I make mistakes. But so yeah, very useful. Any case, now, next one. What's next then? We're on the accounts payable. We did that one because it has a subledger. And so let's do the Visa and then the loan payable. So we're on the Visa now. Same thing, it's a liability account, so it's going to go up with a credit. So equity is going to be on top. Equity on top. So we're going to start with the equity account, and then we're going to be picking up the accounts, the Visa account. And what was it? I think it was 1,000, was it? Do you remember? Yeah, it was 1,000 things. Here we go. So 1,000. Credit the 1,000. And we'll do the indentation and the alignment group. Posting it out, equity first, to the trusty TB up top. So we're going to put it in this equity section. F2. Look at all that action. Plus F2. Scrolling back down to the last transaction. We could add another line, and we will do this shortly, because notice how far down we're going. But as we add more accounts, we'll have the trial balance will be longer too, because we don't have an income statement. So we will end up in a situation, most likely, where I'll show you how to add accounts so you're not way down below where you're posting to at some point in the future as well. So that you've got that to look forward to, which is nice. You got that going for you. We got that going for us. So Visa up top is going to be up top. It's going to be in H10 equals. Then we'll pick up the 1,000 again in H10. And then we're back in balance here. So now let's post it to the trusty trial balance. Equity first, because equity's on top. And that's going to be the last account in the general ledger as we post it. The one with all the action these days. All the actions in equity. All the actions in equity. AB23 equals left to the wall. Left to the wall. And the 1,000, enter. So now we have the 108.96 debit decrease, the 99.896 decreasing because it's a credit balance account. We did the opposite thing to it, that 99.896, also the amount on the trustee trial balance, and we're out of balance on the GL until we record the other side going to the Visa account. That's our second yellow account, or payable, same in the general ledger. The assets in green, liabilities in orange. There's the second account, otherwise known as the Visa credit card account. So we're in W, let's say X17, within X17 equals left to the wall. And then we're going to pick up that last one, which is the 1,000. So there it is, 1,000 there. That should be on the trustee trial balance as it is. We should be back in balance up top again. One more round. Do we have time for one more round? I didn't hear no bell. I didn't hear. I only stop when I hear. So loan payable. Let's do that one. So then we're going to say that this is going to be 1-1 loan payable. Once again, it's a liability account, so the equity on top. And then the other side going to the loan payable. And we'll indent that with an alignment indentation. And what was the amount again? Do you remember? It was like 22,000. Okay. 22,000 debit and the credit. Let's post it out to the trustee TB first. Equity on top. So last account on the trustee TB. We're in cell H12. I'm going to say F2 plus F2. Look at that action in equity. Equity action. And so there's the 22,000 and enter. So now we're out of balance by the 22,000. And then the second side is going to go to the loan payable. That's our last liability, the last orange account. So we'll pick that one up and complete the cycle here on H11 equals, we'll pick up that 22,000. So we've got our balances there. That looks good. Let's post it out to the GL now. So we got the equity on top, starting with the equity. That's the last account in the GL, same last account in the trial balance. So therefore, same as in the GL. Looking for that blue account. That's the one, you know, the one with the action these days. That's the one with the action, the equity. So then we're on the AB24 equals, left to the wall, boom. And then we're going to go down to that last one, the equity, 22,000, putting that in place. And there's our 7,896, went from 99,896 down because we did the opposite thing to it, debiting a credit balance account to the 77,896. That's 77,896 also in the trustee TB GL, out of balance by that amount, which we'll fix now by posting the other side, which is in the loan payable. So the loan payable, that's the last, it's going to be the last liability account on the trial balance. It will be in the same order on the GL. And it just happens to be that that one is in cell AA5. So it's in column AA5. So I'm going to say 1, 1. Possibly it starts in cell AA5. Going to be putting equals in AB5. Because if you have a large loan payable, it might drive you to drink. So you have to have cell AA. The AA could help, you know, with the support or something. Anyway, so we got the 22,000 and enter. And then we've got the 0 going up by 22,000 to 22,000. That amount should also be on the trial balance. So there it is on the trial balance. We're back in balance on the general ledger as well. So now we've got our beginning balances in place here, and we've got the supporting subledgers for those that need them. And we could tick and tie this off. We could say, here's my sheet that we pulled this from. We've got the checking account. Let's see if I could do it like a side-by-side thing here. Can I do like a, let's see if I do this, but make this one smaller. So something like that. And then I scroll maybe this way. So we do this. No, it won't let me go that way. If I scroll this way, and then I put this one on the other side. How about that? Huh? That works. I think it works. So we got the checking account, 25,000, accounts receivable, 20,500, inventory, 2,896. We've got this 7,005 out of order a bit because we like the ordering better. over here. So I put this on the 7.5 up top, 75,000. Notice again, if you're tracking this directly from like a client and you're trying to mirror their accounts that you're going to then be working with their bookkeeping system later, you might want to put the stuff in a funny order in your books. But if you're making your own books from scratch and this is going to be your new accounting system, you'd like to then of course set up your accounts in the best way to do the data input. And normally that would be of course the furniture and equipment on top there generally, and then the 7,500 for the accumulated depreciation, the 15,000 for the accounts payable, the 1,000 for the Visa, the 22,000 for the loan payable, and then everything else washed out as we had predicted. With all that action, you would think with all that action in equity, how could it possibly tie out to that 77,896? But it does, and it has to, due to the fact that basically if we put every other balance ties out and the other side is going to equity, equity has to then work. And that's how a lot of accounting softwares will work when you enter those beginning balances in place. So it's a useful concept to consider.